Guys, what the is happening in America, right? What the Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you. This is the video that you guys have been waiting for. This is a question everybody asks me. What's going on in America? What's happening since I've been gone? And for maybe some people that have never seen my channel before, I lived in Sweden for 12 years. So I was in Europe to the point where I basically became a Swede, right? And then I moved back to America right before the election, like in 2024. And I was very hopeful. I didn't think that there was any way that America would vote for Donald Trump again. And one of the most shocking things for me was like the whitewashing of everything that happened. That's one thing I think I noticed is that like I would watch the news and see this guy do the craziest stuff, but it seemed like Americans had been through so much and so much economic troubles that as the time passed, the media like kind of made light of everything. So that was kind of shocking. But when he won, right, I was so shocked. I'm a very like intuitive person, meaning I I kind of see things happen before they're happening, and I didn't see this one happening. And then when he won, I knew what all the consequences were, like what was going to happen just from the result of him winning, like how bad that was going to be for everybody involved. And I got depressed, probably for months, because I knew the tariffs weren't going to work. I knew people were going to. There were so many thoughts that I had that I knew were going to happen that weren't going to be good. And I think a lot of people that are really good at that were also feeling that. I feel a lot of people that are like me are kind of going through it right now. So now, first of all, why did Donald Trump win? Right? Because that's a question I get asked from people. But I think it's more simple than economy bad, maybe economy good. If you look at everybody that voted for all the political parties, it seemed to be almost everyone, whether it was in Europe or Africa, that the governments that were in charge during the bad economic times lost. So I believe if a Republican was in charge now during that election, then maybe the Democratic candidate would have won. So I don't really think there was much that the Democrats could do if they went with a different candidate. So, we'll have to see. With that said, though, I do think the Democrats did drop the ball. They probably should have had another candidate early. Biden probably should have stepped down. But then you can make an argument that if Biden stayed in, maybe he would have won. But I think most of us don't really believe that. And the truth is, a lot of Americans were just desperate. They were just struggling day to day and hoping that somebody would help them. And yeah, it was podcasts. Dude, like a lot of people listen to podcasts and maybe they like that person and that person thought there was something good. And so, yeah, dude, it kind of happened. And I've noticed there's a definite personality trait amongst Trump supporters. And I'm sorry, dude, it is just a fact. There's a couple different kinds, but a lot of the ones that I interact with or have interacted with, they are some of the most insecure individuals I've ever met. They are the type of people that's listening to a podcast all day telling them how to be a man. They have many stories that you could just tell are completely made up. You can just see the insecurity oozing out of them. And it's always crazy to me because they'll put others down, right? These are the people who are out here to talk about other groups of people. And I think it's because they need to have somebody below them. And they need to constantly remind people that they have status. And that's just insecurity, dude. Maybe these people, they underachieved in life, maybe, 20 years ago or when they were in high school or when they were in college, those were their glory days for them and now they're not. And rather than looking inward, and listen, we all want to have help with, healthcare and all these things, but I'm saying looking inward and sometimes saying maybe I made some mistakes, it's easier than to not have to do that, right? But it always was crazy to me because I would be like, what kind of person would want to work for Trump as like a boss, dude? Like who wants that, right? But it's the same. I've noticed that there are insecure leaders. These are people that they like Trump because they want to surround themselves with people that don't challenge their ideas. They do want yes men. They do not want people that challenge the status quo. They want to be the smartest person in the room. And you see that and then you go, oh, people vote that way because it's a reflection of themselves. And I don't mean to get that deep, but that's just something I've noticed, dude. And then finally, it's a cult, right? Like seeing how much these people had to like constantly swallow all the BS constantly that Trump was doing, the tariffs being bad, and then they're supposed to be good, and then it's been a mess, no new wars, and then he bombs Iran, and then suddenly like we took away all their nuclear capabilities. Boom, now we're back again. This is a mess, right? I also think that there were two key like massive events that happened that propelled Donald Trump to get elected. You're going to have to read between the lines here, but there are two events, one before the election and one after, that Donald Trump never talks about. And let's just be real. Donald Trump talks about everything, dude. Like anytime he can talk crap on his enemy or point something out, But there is something that happened in Butler, Pennsylvania that he never talks about. There is something in Utah that happened that he never talks about. And that's not like Donald Trump. And he's kind of easy to read. So just let that one simmer in the background. I'd also say that, it is interesting. Like, I think he won fair and square fine, but it is interesting the Elon Musk text messages he made with a former, ex-girlfriend fling about being involved in the election and actually cheating. And on top of that, as a former Pennsylvania, now I'm in California, I didn't really appreciate the Elon Musk trying to buy the election. And maybe that also had an impact. I think on top of that, it was podcasts. I lost a lot of respect for people that do podcasts, especially like Joe Rogan, because I think a lot of these podcasters are trying to grift on the way up, right? And now they're grifting on the way down. Now that they see that Donald Trump isn't popular. Like, I think the worst group of people are the people that make like content that's just rage bait to get people upset. And even those people are starting to jump ship and switch. So it's just been a crazy time to be alive with all of it. And to the point where like truth dies, right? I've learned that you can't argue with these people. Like, I've had a few people get in arguments with me and they want to do it. Like, I've seen it on Facebook or someone else, like a MAGA guy, maybe someone I know in real life. They get addicted to the fighting of it. They want to get you upset. It's like the highlight of their day. And I realized once that's the case, I just kind of ignored them, lived my life, and I feel so much more peaceful. Now, ironically enough, I feel like more of a man than any of them because I know who I am. I know what I'm made of, dude. I don't have to like listen to a podcast to figure out what it means to be a man, bro. Now let's just go through the buyer's remorse that everybody's going through. So, for sure, people are going through a lot of buyer's remorse at the moment. First of all, the tariffs, right? Oh, man. Maybe those 37 Nobel laureates were right? That's one of my favorite things to say to people. Like, what's happening in America now is now we're getting stagflation, right? It's like, because of what's happening in Iran, gas prices are going up. They can't lower interest rates, and we're reaching this weird stagflation. And then on top of that, it's very clear that there's market manipulation happening. Even look at this weekend, right? The war gets bombed. Suddenly they spend something. It's always on a Friday, It's always to get the markets to go down, and then the markets start to pump over the weekends, and then everybody gets a bump. So I believe there's also a lot of market manipulation going on at the moment. But everyday Americans are the ones suffering. I mean, everyday Americans, right? If you own a small business, you talk to any American that owns a small business right now, they are all feeling the impact of this. And I've just noticed a huge push of people not liking this. Now we got to talk about Iran, right? That was fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, the MAGA people, there are some that are just going to like swallow whatever his BS is, but that number gets smaller and smaller. The No New Wars one has really made a huge impact because, first of all, he bombs Iran for no reason and then says he destroyed their nuclear capabilities. Now we're at war with them. Right around when the Schmepstein files were coming out, right? And isn't the timing there a bit interesting? And then people stopped talking about the Schmepstein files and they started talking about this conflict going on at the moment. So you have this No New Wars, what has been going on for months now, right? And any American with a brain understands that what makes America powerful, like the whole American identity and the reason that we had a big place on the world stage, is because we made an agreement with everybody that said, if you buy things in US dollar, if you buy petrol in US dollar, we will guarantee free shipping or protected shipping was what I mean. So like protection from shipping globally. Like the United States is the only one that has a navy that can really just globally project force. Like Russia and China don't have the capabilities to do that yet, right? And that ability to guarantee like the safe travel of goods was what made America powerful, right? With what is happening with the strait being closed, everything else is happening, is Donald Trump has told the world that America is no longer that country anymore. And then my question is, if we're no longer that country anymore, then why do we need all these military bases? And why do we need to have all these countries buying our, weapons? Why do we, and you start to see the pattern here that I believe that America is the weakest it's ever been politically at this moment. And that Donald Trump will be, when we look back, we'll actually see it as the start of the decline of America. Because definitely on the world stage, completely gone. Let's look at Canada, for example, their election. If Donald Trump was doing well, I think that election changes. But because it was such a mess in America with what was going on with Donald Trump, the elections in Canada completely switched, which was just crazy to me. And then, think about this. Trump was like pro crypto, he's lost all the crypto bros too, right? Because he enriches himself. He doesn't care about anyone else. And the craziest thing to me about these insecure people is like, what made you think a billionaire was going to care about you, dude? Like simping for billionaires, like you think you're going to become a billionaire someday? Like what? You know, so it just never made sense. One of the most consequential things that I think is going to happen that people haven't even thought of yet is AI. I'm very terrified for what is to come with AI because you now have a president who this is the time where you really want to have regulation and the right people in charge of making decisions. And yeah, I'm really scared for what happens next because I think America is going to shift quite a lot. I think the world globally is going to shift. There is going to be some very big challenges that come because of AI, and you don't want that guy in charge. And all that said, he just banned Claude Fable in the U.S., which is clearly a retaliation on the fact that like Anthropic wasn't kissing the ring, in my personal opinion, and that hurts everyday Americans. And that's gonna piss everybody off, man. It's gonna piss everybody off, and it's clearly like a power move because they're not letting the U.S. government use it for military actions, and there's been a little bit of a severing of that relationship. So we'll have to see what happens. But the dude is just historically unpopular. Like, I'm in California, of course, but like there were Trump flags everywhere, dude. People with hats. I have not seen a MAGA hat or a pro-Trump guy. I mean, dude, in like 9 months to a year almost. I swear to you, that's how bad it's been. It got instantly bad and has not been better. And to like Europeans and others around the world, I'm sure you feel that too. I mean, you guys are feeling the pain worse, right? That was the other reason I moved back to the U.S. is I knew that if Donald Trump won, things were going to get worse everywhere else. So I was hopeful that the results would go a different way. But I made a decision to go home because I could kind of see what was happening. Kind of my intuition, right? I knew that if he won, there was going to be issues with NATO. That's another thing I'll say. It's just like the whole relationship with NATO and Ukraine and all the other consequences there. Hopefully Ukraine can do what they can do and move forward. But I think that's going to be consequential, right? The conflict going on in the Middle East that's not in Iran, I'll just say at the moment, because I am worried about this video getting, suppressed. It kind of feels like who's in charge, right? Is President Trump in charge, or is he taking advice from another government, another foreign government? Because that's what it feels like. Like, who's really in charge here? Why are we listening to a foreign government and not our own? I possibly have my own theories on why this war started. I would not be shocked if supposedly there's some compromising evidence against this person and he's just doing the bidding of others to avoid them coming out. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe that's my tinfoil hat thing, but it's everything. It's like the UFO releases, everything that's happening now is all a distraction from the fact that everyday Americans aren't doing any better. And your life's not any better. My life's not any better. And I'm sure like in some countries, this is like 10 times worse now. And I haven't even talked about like the situation going on with ICE. Like that was another thing. Like when I talked about my intuition, dude, because like I knew bad stuff was going to happen. Because think of it like this. Think about the people that you love. What would you be willing to do for the people that you love the most? What would you do to protect the people you love? You were facing a situation where you would never see them again and you don't know where they're going to go. What would you do? And that's all I got to say about as far as that not going well. And I knew that Americans were going to get hurt. And of course we saw that as well. And then the pushback from it. It's like everything has been his presidency has been overstepping his boundaries and then getting pushed back and moving back and just being a disaster. Just trying to test how much they can flex their power. I was scared that like we were gonna go into a really dark place, and I think we still could. But because he's doing so politically weak at the moment, and not the economy's crap and everything's crap, he doesn't have the same authority. Like that's why we're not hearing as much about what happened in Minnesota previously. I just think that he's with the midterms coming up, not looking great. So I'll just end on this. Like I feel like America, like I said, is going through buyer's remorse right now. Most people have come to the realization that did vote for Trump that they were lied to, they were wrong. People that have like a lot of growth and are maturing in life have the ability to admit they're wrong, but there's going to be a lot of people that will never admit to voting for Donald Trump 10, 15, 20 years from now. Because I think they're coming to the realization that he doesn't care about them, like at all. But if only going to sporting events made you a good president, right? I mean, he's gone to more sporting events, I think, than the last 5 presidents combined. I'm sure he's in the World Cup right now doing that rather than worrying about taking care of everyday Americans. You got the UFC fight, the parade he threw for himself. It's it's bad optics, dude. It's bad optics, and you can only simp for a billionaire so long. And seeing these people kind of seeing it for what it is, and we're all talking about how depressing it is to be around. So that's been crazy. Is that I have heard no pro Trump talk from anybody. And let me just say, some of these people were really loud, beating their chest, dude. They were ready to like fight their neighbor for a billionaire, dude. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. Before I end the video, though, like what I mentioned on AI, like it is scary, and I'll just be honest with you. I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing that, like Claude and AI is getting shoved down your throats. And I believe there's this fear with AI, which is legitimate, right? But there's this fear of people that you have to be like a super technical person, but you don't need to be. Like, so I wanted to, like, I think people are gatekeeping AI. So I'll just let you know, I got my website, andrewaustin.me, that I released. I built a free adaptable teacher course that's a skill that runs within Claude, and there's also instructions. Yeah, it's free. I want to get people off the ground running. I believed, I took all the skills I have from teaching and designed it. Everything I learned about how people learn, the different teaching methods, to make something that's going to help you right away design and be creative. Because there's this fear that AI is going to destroy art. But I actually believe that a lot of creative people are going to be the ones that are going to shape the future with AI. I think that having imagination and being creative is going to be much more important than being technical and being able to think outside the box. So I just wanted to shout out that course real quick to you guys. If you want to check it out, let me know. Also, my email's there. You can give me feedback if you have other questions I have there. If there's something you want me to try to build, maybe that's different. But for this course, love to have you try it. And if you like it, just please give me feedback on it. And I'd really appreciate that. But let's end on the final note, right? Because a lot of Americans haven't felt proud to be American, right? It's been a mess. We don't feel proud to be American. But even with the World Cup going on now, like, what is there to be proud? Because it's like every moment he's got to ruin, right? It's like when the U.S. men's hockey team won, I was so excited. And then we got to deal with that knucklehead, being in the room. And then it becomes a political thing. Or you're watching the World Cup and you got to deal with, the other goofballs. Or when the Champions Leagues happen, you got Trump photobombing it, So it's easy to get depressed about a lot of things. But I actually think that America's beauty is shining through a little bit. There's been a lot more pushback and organization from other people on the other side than I ever expected. In all the different states, that's caused Donald Trump to back down. Like, I'm looking at what's happening in Lawrence, Kansas with Algeria, and the amount of people that were just so touched that these people chose their town, and they're supporting them, and they're showing them a lot of love, is that he doesn't get to destroy everything about us. I think the majority of us are good. We definitely effed up. They effed up. People that voted for them effed up. But there's this beauty among Americans. I still see this hope that after Trump, I think a lot of things are going to get burned down or destroyed. I'm not super hopeful for the future, but after everything comes crumbling down and crashes, I think that something better is going to be on the other side. But I also think this is just a breakdown of all institutions. I don't think the way that governments run now globally are going to be the same at all. I don't believe people are going to work 9-to-5 jobs 10 years from now. So yeah, it's going to be a crazy time to be alive. We're going to accelerate at a rate that nobody's ready for. But if there's anything I'm hopeful for, it's that I hope during this World Cup and just in general, the people that do ever travel to America or interact with Americans can still see the good in us and realize that we're all suffering here, and not everybody voted for this knucklehead. And a lot of people that did were just kind of insecure and stuff. And I don't know, they just listened to a podcast. I know it sounds silly, but that's my take on all this. If I offended you, sorry. I just speak very bluntly and say what I mean, and I'm just genuine, and this is my belief. And so, yeah, I don't know. I love to hear your feedback, though. Like, maybe this becomes like a 2-part video, right? Maybe you have questions, maybe there are things I didn't answer. I do feel like I rambled a little bit, sorry, but I did organize my thoughts on the left here, so I will do my best, moving forward to make interesting content for you guys. With that said, I will thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Hey, do.